G'day guys, welcome to this evening's webinar. Good to see you all there. Tonight's topic is reducing stress at the competitions. So this is not only reducing stress for our horses, but it will be a little bit about reducing stress for ourselves, and not only at the competition, but also in the preparation for going and also the trip there. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Tristan Tucker. I'm a horseman and dressage rider, originally from Melbourne, Australia, now based here in the Netherlands. I am the founder of the TRT method and the co-founder, together with my very established colleague, Connie Learnstra, for the TRT method online training. Good evening, Connie.
Good evening, Tristan. Thank you.
So through my years of experience of working all kinds of wild horses in Australia and coming to Europe and establishing a business in quite a few different countries, being the man that is able to help horses with all kinds of special needs, you gain a lot of information about what to do and some useful tips for everybody and anybody that has a horse with 4 legs. So we're here in this webinar to be able to show everybody, of course, who is interested, maybe something that can help them. And of course, with the webinar, we encourage everybody to also give their input and comments and questions so that we come together as a whole group and we can share and contribute and learn as much as we possibly can in this evening. So we have some slides here. This is, of course, some testimonials, which you can also read on the TRT method site from a lot of different professionals from all over the world. So questions and bits and pieces that you don't know already, or you want to know more about me, you can read it here on the TRT method site. You can see there we're in 55 different countries all over the world, so people from every corner of the planet wanting to know a little bit about what we're doing. So
I also see, Tristan, a lot of people from all around the world are online in the chat, and I see everybody's found it, from Canada, Sweden, Finland, Australia, Denmark, USA. It's really awesome.
Very nice. Nice to have the Aussies with us at this time of the very early morning there. So Connie's made these beautiful slides, and that'll give you a little bit of a running sheet of what's happening here tonight. But we'll be talking about, of course, there's many mistakes that we all make, including myself, and that's why I can give you some information, because I've made plenty of them. But 3 of the main things that seem to come up, especially with a lot of people that come with horses in training, it's a common mistake or a misconception or a trap we fall into. We'll be talking about these 3 mistakes, and then 4 steps that I go through with my own horses, whether that be horses that are sensitive in general and need to continue to be shaped into the right physical and mental mindset for going to competitions, or that's a horse that's going for the very first time and you want to prepare them and give them a good basis for knowing how to manage themselves in that new scary experience. And then you have the opportunity to work with me. Connie will explain to us about some special offers that you will have a chance to obtain at the end of this webinar. And then, of course, the most important bit, the questions and answers, the very important questions and hopefully the intelligent answers from my end. So, but first, Connie is going to ask some questions from you guys.
So, yeah, already. So my first question was actually going to be, where is everybody from? But I think I'm getting a good guess already. But I also have a few other questions. So I'm going to put up a poll. So the first one is, what's your chosen discipline? And you can click which one. It can be dressage, jumping, eventing, driving, endurance, vaulting, reining, or other. I'm not sure, Tristan, if you can also see the results coming in, but I do.
No, I can't see it at my end, but if you give me the results, that would be some really good information to get to know the people that we're talking to, and we can direct the answers better suited to the audiences tonight.
I see people are still clicking, but most of them is dressage. So currently it's 74%, 75%. Then eventing 11%, and other is 6%. Now it's
so predominantly a very stylish, good-looking crowd.
Yes, yes. All right.
From a biased point of view.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna have the second one. Do you ride competitions with your horse? So yes, on a regular basis. Yes, but not often. No, but I'm planning on riding competitions. No, and I'm not going to. So this is more. Yes, most people ride competitions on a regular basis. It's around 40%. Yes, but not often, around 26, 28. No, but I'm planning on riding competitions, 22%. Of course, it's changing a bit. And no, I'm not going to, is 10%.
So what's also interesting about this is that what we'll be talking about tonight will also be relevant to people that take their horses anywhere, because of course the preparation is being able to take your horse to a new environment and to be prepared that your horse and yourself has a good experience. It doesn't specifically have to be to a competition. An exam in itself is just being able to take your horse to a new place, and that you're both able to manage the situation and come away with a good experience. For those of you that are not finding the competition list, it'll also have a lot of information for you.
Definitely. All right. And then the last one is, does your horse have at times too much tension when training or when riding competitions? So I'm curious what people will answer here. Okay, right now it's still on 100%. Okay, 97, 98.
Okay.
97, 95. I know it's becoming a little
So
less.
between 5 and 2% of the people listening tonight have a lazy horse, and the rest of you have high-level energy stressed horses.
Yeah. But even the lazy ones, Tristan, also I remember the videos with the stallion Happy, who was really relaxed. But still, when there's a lot of tension, like above his, what's it called, threshold?
Yeah, above the level he can manage, then you get the explosion.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know those.
Yeah, so it's 93%, right? Let's stop with the poll and let's move on to the mistakes, the 3 mistakes we make at competitions.
So, yeah, this is particularly something I get from a lot of students that come in the beginning, is that, of course, we are concentrating a lot when specifically preparing for the competition on the technical aspect of riding. So how we're riding the shoulder ins, how are our extended trots going, how are our halts going. You know, we've made a million sort of repetitions of the exercises we have to perform in the ring, and we sort of do that most days of the week. And then there's not so many days that we are training or preparing the horses to know how to manage themselves in the place or in the environment that we have to perform in. So for your horse not to have performance anxiety and to be a performer, to be confident about executing the movements that you've practiced meticulously at home, we also have to explain to them what it is that they're going to experience at the environment, and that they really learn what those aspects are, and they learn a concept of how to manage themselves in an environment with the things they'll experience in that competition environment or in that new place. So, you know, when we're traveling to the show, of course, it's also important that, of course, we memorize our test and we think about what it is we're going to do, but there also has to be a part of you that really thinks about, okay, how is my horse today? How is he when I loaded him on the trailer? Did I give myself enough time? Was he in a relaxed state when he went on the trailer? How is my horse when I arrive? And that our mind is not just focused on getting in the ring. You know, we pull up to the show, we run to the secretary, we find out which ring. We haven't taken the time to see how our horse is mentally and what state of mind he's in. And then quite often that can then lead into all the way into the ring, and then you realize when you get into the ring and things are not happening, that we've only been thinking about the test and only been thinking about turning those 6s we got last week or last month into a 7 or an 8, and then our mind is not on what the horse is thinking or feeling a lot of the time. So sometimes when we get a situation where everything blows up and goes a little bit wrong, it's sometimes dependent on where our focus is, and that we're putting all the focus into the technical aspect of riding and not really feeling and seeing and making sure that our horses are prepared, also correct in the minds. And I noticed there's also a lot at the international shows where the horses, of course, are turning up a day or so before. And then a lot of the time, you know, you have to take your horse to the trot up, and, you know, you often see some riders sort of getting the horses and then quickly getting to the trot up, and then you have to quickly run in the trot up, and sometimes that whole experience is sort of getting them quite excited, and then you've done your trot up, you've been accepted in the vetting, and then you're asked to leave, and then that horse is in a heightened state, you know, of excitement or maybe even a little bit stress, and then sometimes that can even be the trot up in the arena you have to perform in, or in the warming up that you have to warm up in before going into the test. And then from the beginning, we create this pattern before we've even started on competition day. And then that sort of can sometimes even flow into, you know, going to the warm up and you have to pass some strange obstacles, or there seems to be some challenges before you even get to the warming up. And if we're totally focused always on the test and on the ring, and we don't take time for the horse to be in the right mental state on the preparation, you know, on the time we get off the truck and the time that they become familiar with the new environment, going into the warm-up the first time, whether it be for the trot up, going into the warm-up, all these things when we're navigating our way around a new competition area, competition grounds, you know, if we're not that can sometimes determine how the outcome is going to be. And we know ourselves as riders how much time we spend on preparing ourselves. Some of us, you know, have all kinds of rituals like wearing odd pairs of socks, and we have to have, you know, a Red Bull and a packet of chips before we get on the horse at an international, and we sort of have these routines. So it's also really important to find the right routine for your horse and really think about the mindset and what he is thinking. Who is my horse and what is he thinking along these steps? And we don't just get caught up in the performance. And so step 2, or what we're thinking about, another thing that we're often thinking about when people are coming and horses, and I've also experienced it myself, when you're in a competition, in a situation, and your horse starts to get stress. We add more pressure when there's tension, because of course unconsciously sometimes you get to a situation, you know, your horse is not responding in the right way. You've prepared a lot for the show. This is now the time where he has to do his best, and you only need 6 minutes for him to be good and not be a bastard and really turn it up on you right at the wrong moment. And so what happens is we sometimes get caught up in that we've put a lot of time into it, and you get to the competition and then it starts to go a little bit wrong, and then we start to get caught up in the moment. The horse may also be coming into the warm-up. Maybe it's his first time, maybe it's a warm-up where the horses are starting to get him excited, maybe it's a different environment where he hasn't experienced so many sponsor signs before, or so many people, or the rings are a different color, or whatever it might be. And then the horses start to sort of get a little bit into tension. And I've also myself in the past, also been taught traditionally that when you come to a new environment and your horse is, you know, has a little bit of tension, then we ride, you know, then you have to get him on the A's and go forward, 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 and sort of get him to a point where he's a little bit tired and maybe the edge comes off and you can get to control him again. But there's also big benefits in, of course, the preparation before you get there, but also having a toolkit, having some kind of tools or a system or a pattern in which you can get the horse to be able to find his composure and find the relaxation, and not that we sort of add pressure to the situation by the horse feeling he's not quite sure how to respond, and then we sort of add to that pressure by thinking, oh, he's not responding correctly, this is not how he normally is, and then we let ourselves also sort of ask more of the horse, or we get into this pattern of worrying ourselves, and then the whole situation sort of boils up into a big disaster. So really being conscious at that moment to be able to compose yourself when things are not going in the correct way, not adding more, trying to get more, trying to make more, but getting the composure of yourself, being able to think about your preparation, getting composure of your horse, and also allowing that to be the right preparation before going in. So our third topic, so thinking of our short-term goals instead of the long-term goals. So this is very much about exactly that experience when you've prepared for everything and you, let's say you've also done some good environmental management. Your horse has a very good management system over himself. He knows what to do when he's experiencing things in the environment of movement, touch, sound, things approaching him, other horses coming close in the warm-up. You've been to many places and they've experienced lots of different things, and then you come to a situation where all of a sudden the horse is not managing himself well. So it's at that time where I always try to think to myself, not about the short-term goal, which is on that day, in that moment, for that test. Because of course, realistically, in the end, there's going to be many more tests. There's going to be many more opportunities to come to a competition again. And if we sometimes think too much about that short-term goal where we're trying to patch up or save something, it's sometimes better in the long term to be able to give your horse a good experience in that moment. So being able to abandon that test for that day. You know, if your horse is getting into such a state where the warm-up's a disaster and he's already tense, and then you choose to go in the ring in that state and he's so tense in the warming up that you go in the ring, and then of course he's having then a bad experience not only at the competition but also in the ring, in the place you want him to perform. You're creating a pattern of nervousness in the place you want him to be totally composed. So, you know, sometimes it's of more value to go to the show, maybe it's a disaster in the warming up, and then think, okay, I'm going to let go of this short-term goal, and even though I've paid my money to ride the test, I'm actually just going to use the warming up. I'm going to signal to the steward that I'm not going to ride, and I'm going to try to find a relaxed position, try to give my horse a good experience in the warming up. This also may happen in the test. You know, you get to a certain spot, the environment's too much, he feels super in the warming up, you get into the ring, all of a sudden he starts to shut down and you can feel him getting nervous. And of course, what we have to also remember is through those experiences, at some point the horse will get a release, whether it's when we take him back to the trailer, where we take him home. And if the horse has used his natural flight instinct to protect himself because he's unsure of what to do, he's using his survival mechanism because he has no other skills at that moment to know what to do with himself. If we leave him with that and he goes home, it's that learning experience of, oh, thank God, I survived that. And the next time I go, I'm going to use that again because that's what's kept me safe this time. So that real thing of letting go of the short-term goal, saying, okay, today is not going to be our day. We obviously need to prepare a little bit more, but using that time to be able to also train in the moment, to be able to teach your horse at that moment, okay, if he's not comfortable, you know, coming up the center line and I have to greet off, take the time. Hopefully the judge gives you a few moments where you can get the horse into a relaxed state, that he's not leaving tense and upset, but you have a few moments to get him into a good state, and you're able to then forgive maybe the points that time, the whole test, maybe one line, maybe one movement, but it's sometimes better to let go of that short-term goal rather than, and think about the long term, that the next time you come to that situation, then your horse has had a good experience the last time. You got 30% or 49% in your dressage test, but you were able to give your horse some education so that he feels good about the next time you go there, and you're not turning those small incidents into a big one by trying to save it and make a perfect test, even though you're not quite prepared. You try to silk it, you try to sort of muffle it, that you sort of get your way through. So sometimes it's not worth to try to put extra pressure on to save that short-term goal to end up getting a long-term problem. So 4 steps to reduce stress at competition.
I also have videos, Tristan.
Yes.
Do you want to first introduce the videos, or do you want me to just jump into the video and then explain a bit afterwards?
I think it's nice for people to get a little bit of a reference first if we watch a bit the video, and then when I give an explanation, we have something we can refer to.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay. So you'll be seeing probably me in the video, just so you know what you're looking at.
Yeah. So you want to start with the first step?
Yeah. So this is one of the first things I'm doing to prepare my horses for the show. Saphira has just been platted, and some horses, when they've been platted and made ready, they kind of have a sense that they're going to the show. So it's important for me then to be able to get them back into a relaxed mindset. So just before I put them on the trailer and I'm ready to go, I bring them just into the arena and I go through the first pattern, and you see here Saphira is anticipating a little bit. She's walking a little bit quick. Although she's fairly level and horizontal in the body, she's quite high for her, on the borderline of becoming a little bit tense. If I was to walk out to the trailer now, we could have a heightened sense of energy in her body, in which we don't want before we load to the trailer. So you see here, I'm just waiting through the pattern, letting the pattern do the work to try to get her as relaxed as possible before I come to the trailer. So we know before we enter, before we would begin, the horse is in a really relaxed position. So in the last preparations before going on the trailer, I tend to like them to stand by themselves, that I don't put them in the cross ties again. So it's not necessary, but it's just something I like to do in the process, that the horse takes responsibility for staying in this relaxed position, keeping the relaxed state as we make the last preparations for going on to the trailer. So of course the trailer loading is very important. You want to have prepared this before, of course, with your trailer loading training, and making sure that you have plenty of time for the loading process, not that you're in a hurry and that creates a panic or a level of stress that is going to affect, of course, the journey and then the horse's mental state when you arrive. So remember, key point, leave plenty of time, that you can fix up any confusion or any stress in plenty of time before you leave. So, as you can see from the video, this is my first pattern. For those of you who have seen me work before, or you are a member of the TRT method online, you will know this pattern. This pattern for me is my yoga for horses. So this is a way of me being able to teach the horses to have good awareness of their body and knowing how to have good management over themselves. So it gives them a really good awareness of where their tension points are in the body and enables them to let go of these tension points. It also gives them a good connection in the body so that they don't feel disconnected, which gives them this insecurity. They feel very much connected through the pattern and through the movement. This is a pattern in which I am able to feel how they are physically in the body. So if there's any tension points, I can continue to go through the pattern until they come to a relaxed state. And of course, whatever happens physically happens mentally. If they get physically in this relaxed physical state, then mentally they also become calm. This is the pattern here that I choose to do when I take the horses out of the stable before I put them on the trailer. So this horse in this video in particular is very sensitive, and she's also very sensitive to the specifics of her schedule in the day. So if she's come out and she's been platted up and made ready for the show, she's already knowing that she's going somewhere. So if I then, even if I put her in the stable for a little bit of a rest and I bring her out again, she knows that she's going to the show. So if I let her stay in that state, she can sometimes let the energy get a little bit up. We go to the trailer, it gets a little bit up. She's in the trailer traveling, or in the float traveling to the show. She gets a little bit more up. By the time I get to the show, then I have a horse that gets off the trailer like a giraffe with its head up and the energy level almost blowing through the roof. So before I put her in the trailer, I remind her of this management system and how she can keep control of herself, so that I go through the pattern, and then that enables her also to stand relaxed. So she doesn't feel like she's being held and being made to stand still or held in the cross ties. I like the horses, specifically this one, because she's highly sensitive, and if she feels held or feels made, she then also has a little bit too much alertness. She feels like she's managing herself and able to stand there herself. We put the boots on. It's almost like she's saying, here, you can put my travel boots on, I'm ready to go. And she gives herself this confirmation that that's what she's doing, and that she's giving herself sort of the permission to do that. And then it allows me then to walk to the trailer, and the horse is then also going in a relaxed state. Of course, the horses have also all had good loading training, so the horses know as well how to have management over themselves in the approach to the trailer, walking up the trailer, standing in the trailer, and traveling, and they know a meaning of a destination, all these things that come with our trailer loading series. But it's also still important, that preparation before going to the trailer, that they're in a relaxed state, because even if they know it and they're coming, they have their plats in and they're already excited, it's getting them to a level where they become aware of themselves, they're managing themselves, they're in a good state of physical and mental tension, and then the approach to the trailer is good, and then you have a much better opportunity then when you start to travel, that they are relaxed, and also you have a much better chance of them being relaxed when they arrive, so that when you arrive, you have not had a build-up of tension, but you've kept the management at 0. It's not gone to 10 and then to 20, and then you're traveling, it's gone to 30, and then you arrive and it's at 50. So this is my preparation before going to the show. This is also really helpful at home with the students, that sometimes through the process of plaiting your horse up, getting changed yourself, putting the boots on, checking the time, making sure you're on time, you're all also in the preparation mode. They're getting ready all the time, and you're telling yourself, I'm getting ready, I've plaited my horse, I've got my white gear on. But the fact that in between that, I make the students go to the arena, they go through the ground pattern a bit, they start this communication with the horse, you build a dialogue, you're already almost working with your horse, which is sometimes the comfort you get when you go to the warm-up. You sort of have this build-up, this anxiety of going to the show, and then you get in the saddle, and finally you're in the saddle and you feel and know what you've got, and then you get relaxed. And this can sometimes work also in the preparation going. You start to work with your horse, you build a dialogue, they get relaxed, you put them in the trailer, you know how they are when they've gone in the trailer. And then that can give you also more rest yourself as a rider, that you've already sort of worked with the horse a little bit, you know what state they've gone into the trailer, you can be relaxed. It's not that you've rushed, you've thrown them in and you start to hear them pouring in the back, and then the drive's already stressed, and then you get there and you're already stressed because the drive's been stressed, because you know your horse has got high energy, and how's it going to be when I saddle it? Is it going to stand still when I get on? All these things. So you can better prepare the horse, which also in turn better prepares yourself. So maybe we can look at the next video, Connie.
Yep, I will play
Step 2.
Yes, step 2.
So we've arrived at the show. You can see there's a lot going on. course, a lot of other horses on trailers calling out and stamping and making noise. We're close to the road here, so you're getting still a lot of trucks and a lot of traffic noise. So I just take my time that I'm coming into the trailer, untying the horse, making sure she's relaxed. If the horse is not standing totally relaxed, I try to get them into a position of relaxation before I start to take them off, so that they learn to find a position of rest and that they're not in a hurry to get off, and that I don't take them off in a hurry because they're in panic. I try to get them as relaxed as possible before I'm taking them off, so that we're again trying to train the right response, that when they arrive somewhere that they can stand relaxed. When I'm taking off the bar behind them, again, that they wait a little bit, and this is all in preparation. You've done this in the trailer loading and the lessons about how to load and how to take one step at a time on and off the trailer. So this still applies when you get to the show. If something happens where the horse is running off, hopefully you get there early enough in plenty of time then to retrain these things. You see Sophia, and she hasn't had the straightest exit of the trailer, but I still like to back them in a straight line so that they're not turning off the ramp, that they're distracted, and of course straight away they are leading me off the trailer. So backing the horse up in as straight a line as possible. And then you see here, I'm in the middle of the car park, but yet I still have room to go through the pattern a little bit, and you'll see the first reaction from Sophia, she of course wants to look around. I don't punish her and stop her from doing that, but I then just quietly start to get her body into a relaxed state through the pattern. Of course she wants to go a lot forward here, so I'm just then gently moving the front legs until she steps behind and across. And I take my time. I'm not in a hurry that I need to put a lot of pressure or be in a hurry for her to listen and to quickly go through the pattern. I just take my time and try to get her energy level down to the same energy level as myself. And I just feel through the horse what they need. You know, some horses might be running backwards and they need to turn the hind legs to get a little bit balanced. She's a little bit forwards. So I'm taking my time now to get her to back up. She's dropping the head. You see now the head is a little bit lower. She's not kind of got her ears up looking over the trucks to the warm-up. She gets into a state where she's a little bit relaxed. You see in that time now my perfect assistant York is getting the saddle and things ready. She's now dropping the head. She's now licking the lips and in a more relaxed state. So from now, when we've arrived, we can then start to think about taking the gear off. So before we start to take the boots and things off, I like to get this relaxed mindset. The horse is standing still by itself, and she's ready to proceed with getting ready for riding. So here we come to the getting on. Saddle and bridle on. Again, I go just a little bit through the pattern, a little pilot check to make sure with the saddle and bridle we haven't had any added tension. And in a place where everything is new and strange, we continue to do things that are familiar to the horse. We build a pattern that is familiar to them, that gives them relaxation. The same with the getting on, same as we do at home. We all know the drawing to the step. So my first two steps here are a little bit tense. So again, when I get on, a little bit turning the hind leg, she turns a little bit loose. I feel she's relaxed, and then I can begin to walk to the ready. So making sure all the time you're double checking, keeping control of the feet, keeping the horse relaxed and soft in the body. So as you could see there, that was then the video of me arriving at the competition, and you'll have seen first a very poor demonstration of Saphira coming very crooked off the trailer. So I have to practice a little bit more there. But the idea, of course, in those first few steps is that I'm controlling the steps backwards, that I'm trying to get her to stay focused and think about her feet and how she comes off the trailer, because of course that also how you present, how you arrive is how you are thinking and how you tend to stay in the first few minutes of being somewhere. So we want her to then take some steps that she's thinking about her feet, that we avoid this sort of just getting to the edge of the trailer, and when the head comes out, she can look up and then sort of walk off the ramp already sort of in that upward energy motion, looking around, wondering what the hell where she is and what she should be doing. So the backing away in a very straight line is of course important. And then you see in the beginning, then I straight away start with the pattern, and you can see her focus is a little bit already sort of, what are those horses doing over here? Or there are other horses here? You know, where are we? Asking herself a few questions. So what happens in the beginning is going through the pattern brings her attention very present to where we're standing. So when her attention is, you know, up in the air and 10 meters, 20 meters, 50 meters that way, starting to move the feet brings her attention here, present to what's going on, so that she has a good awareness of where we are in the space, both her and me, and her in relation to me, and her in relation to the trailer, and the car next to us, and the trailer next to us, and the horse passing by. So giving herself an awareness of where she is in the space, so that we also avoid that thing of getting off the trainer and saying, stand up, you bugger, you know, and trying to start to take the boots off, and you tie them up to the trailer, or you get someone to hold and the horse is swinging left and swinging right and has no control over itself. So then you have to take control. The horse is not managing itself. You have to start to become the manager. And then, of course, you know, we need things like lead bits and chains on to control them, to restrain them when we get to a new place. So that's to avoid all those things. And you can imagine all the scenarios that you've probably been in, or you've seen other people in when you go to competitions and you see people in the car park. So it's to avoid all those situations. And then you see that then as soon as I've done the pattern and she comes to a point of rest and she's managing herself and she can almost stand by herself without being held, it's then we take the boots off, so that we're not trying to manage the situation and get the boots off quick. It's her responsibility to manage herself, stand still, so we can do that safely, and that our energy level is also low when we're doing those things. So if the horse is high in energy and we're also running around trying to stay out of her way, trying to whip the boots off quickly, you know, there's also then a level of energy in us which heightens to the stress in the situation when we arrive. And so then, of course, we're able to tack up quite easily. She's standing in a rest point. She's giving herself time to have the gear on. It's not a surprise to her because her attention's been 10 meters away, and then we've all of a sudden got the saddle and bridle on and someone's holding her and trying to leg me on. She's taking time to process that. Okay, I'm getting saddled now, bridled now. She's going through, she allows herself to think about her normal routine, her normal sequence. And then, of course, you see, of course, the draw to the trailer for me to get on, or a step. And of course, everybody that is a member of Tier 2 Method knows about what the benefits are of the horse drawing to the step and us getting on, and the horse presenting us with the saddle and having the mental thing of saying, here, yes, I'm ready for you to get on, rather than we take them or hold them, or one person holds them or two people holds them, and they feel held while we climb on quick. So all this is to do with the processing of presenting me with the saddle. Okay, I'm ready now for you to get on. She's standing still when I get on. And then when I get on, I still felt a little bit of tightness in her, or a tension go a bit away. The first thing I do is a little bit the pattern. And of course, Sophia knows it. It's very familiar to her. So when I even turn and look a little bit at the hind leg, she thinks about the management of her own body. She feels maybe where there's some tension points, and she makes the decision to release them. She manages herself and says, oh yeah, I'm a bit tense there. I should relax myself. And then, of course, the walk to the warm-up is also controlled. She has time to then process everything she may come across on the way there. So she's not missing things. She's not in a heightened state of energy where she's only looking at the warm-up, or she's alert and she's looking at everything and there's already a disaster before we get to the warming up. They're spooking at everything. And so this is also then important of how she shows up at the warming up, that she's already in a controlled state. She's relaxed. She's comfortable in the body, she's loose. So when I start up my warming up, I'm not starting the first 5 minutes warming up with a tense body, which can also, of course, create more tension, but can also be harmful to the body, that we create injuries from a horse going around in tension. So these are all preparations of how we enable ourselves to turn up to the warming up in the best state possible. So I'm not sure what the next video is, Connie.
It's of you doing the warming up.
Okay.
Let's see.
So let's have a quick look. So now we come to the warm-up. So my first few steps again, coming into a new space, whether this is indoors or outdoors. Again, it's a new surrounding where everything is new and strange. So I try to give the horses again a feeling of something familiar. So the first steps that the horse takes is something that relaxes them. It gets you in control, and of course it gets the horse in control. So rather than sort of getting to the warm-up and they have a lot of excess energy and you think, get trotting right away to try to get a bit the energy off, I try to then not start in this sort of adrenaline mode. I try to get the horses again to find the control. It's something that they're familiar with, of course. This is a tool that they've brought with them at home. So in this first few minutes, I just go through to make sure I have the same controls. You see Sophia is a little bit sticky in the front legs here. Once I have the freedom there, I let her relax again. So it's not that we have to do 20 minutes of it, but just that we have a little bit control of all the feet. There's no stickiness. She starts to get relaxed. And you feel when you drop the rein that the horse will choose to stand still. And when you ask them forward, they're stretching forward and down, nice and relaxed. Now you might get a few strange looks, of course, in the warm-up in the beginning, but after the 1 minute or so of doing your groundwork exercises, when your horse is starting the warming up in a very relaxed frame, then you start to look nice enough to everybody else, including yourself. So yes, as we can see, then I arrive in the warming up and I'm again going through the pattern. I start on Sophia sometimes with the backing up and the moving of the front legs. So this is, she can very quickly get in a very upward position with the front end. And of course, if the front goes up and she gets a little bit tension here under the neck, the back drops, she gets tight in the back, and then the tension comes. So we're getting this posture where she's able to back up through the body and she's able to do the control of the front leg. So this is a very specific movement that I teach horses that have a very upward tension in their posture. And this is teaching them how to be able to come and bring their own energy level down through the position of their feet. So wherever their feet move determines the pattern in the body. So if they're in a tension movement pattern, then of course every time they move, they have more tension. So this is a pattern to reverse this. So they're having relaxation and movement. It's opening up the body. It's having a separation of the front legs, a widening of the shoulder, so a release and a dropping of the neck. So with a few very simple movements in walk, we are setting her up physically in her body, in her posture, and also mentally to be in a relaxed state. So within a few minutes, literally 30 seconds, you can have the horses feel like they've done a warm-up and they're totally loose and relaxed at the end of the ride in the first few minutes. It's from there I go to through the pattern of turning the hind leg. So this allows me to get the leg aid on, and it allows her to get in tune with the meaning of the aid so that she's having good position of the hind leg in underneath the body. So she gets in a position of carrying both herself and then, of course, me when I'm sitting on in the warming up. And so this is giving her the feeling of stability, and it lets me feel how she is on the leg in a safe position. And it enables me to get her body to respond and follow in the right way from my leg. So when I start up and I get riding in trot, I'm getting the right response from my leg. I'm not getting a horse that's holding a little bit or overreactive, running off, or not responding or listening to the leg at all. So you then eliminate all these first things that you sometimes get when you go in the warming up and your first few laps. you know, you sometimes ride around until it gets better. But this is, again, a little preparation before that, so that it's in the hope that when you pick up the rein and you go that first few strides in walk in a frame, or you go those first few strides in trot, you think, oh, the horse is relaxed, totally on my rein aid, totally on the leg aid, taking a nice rhythm, in balance. Oh, she feels exactly like she does at home. So this, of course, is a very comforting feeling to you as a rider in the beginning, that you don't sort of get in. You're giving yourself time to be in that space. You're giving your horse time to be in that space, to be able to get into a relaxed state, to have the same posture and the same physical feeling in the body and the same mental feeling in the mind at that new place as you do at home. And now, as you see in the beginning, you know, there was a guy in the middle of the warming up. I'm not sure what he was doing, if he was probably looking at me thinking, what the hell is that guy doing? And you'll get that also when you get to the competitions, you know, and you get your horse off the trailer and you start doing this little bit body control, and people are looking at you like, what a weirdo, what the hell is he doing? But they stop laughing when your horse is standing perfectly relaxed and they're there wrestling theirs, trying to get on. They start wrestling it behind the trailer because they start getting embarrassed that they can't control their horse. And your horse is standing relaxed, looking at their horse, thinking, oh, poor horse, he can't control himself. So don't worry about that, because in the end, nobody really gives a shit what you're doing and what you look like. Because it looks different in the beginning, some people may look at you, but just keep the focus on the horse. Think about giving the horse a good experience. Give yourself time, the horse time. You've got some tools then at home that you've been able to take with you into a new place. You've got your toolbox, so when you get to that environment where you feel things are not starting to go right, you can look back in the toolbox. You've got this yoga pattern. You've got these good patterns that your horse understands. You've got these good management exercises that your horse learns to manage himself. And you've got skills and techniques to be able to get you and your horse in the right mindset and in the right physical state to perform your best. So, Connie?
Yes, we have the last clip, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Personally, I think this was really a great example of how to ride your horse in the test when he becomes tense.
Oh, I'm nervous. Sounds like you've got a video of me riding in a test.
Yes, I do.
It will, of course, be something that didn't go right. Otherwise, we wouldn't be telling you.
That's right.
Because the video of me doing amazing, and then we can just say, oh, how wonderful is that horse?
Yeah. Well, you do show some amazing things, but I think this is really inspiring. And also a note for myself, and I think also for the people watching and listening, is when we go to a test, we think it's the most important thing in the world. Also on a lower level, I'm not riding at a high level. And when I see you riding at an international competition, and even you don't care about the result at that moment and just think of the horse, I think that's really inspiring. So let's have a look.
Yeah. Although I had quite a good feeling in the warming up in parts with Wally, and he felt pretty good in most of the exercises. I did my groundwork patterns in the beginning before getting on. I didn't actually feel confident to get on before my groundwork patterns, so thank God I had them with me. And yeah, he's sort of really affected by all the other horses also being a little bit excited in such an environment, and with it being bitterly cold, it takes him a little while for his muscles to sort of let go
and become relaxed. And then, of course, he's really affected by his the physical feeling he has in his body. But in the warming up, it felt like I had really a horse that was with me, and he really had the feeling in the warming up that he could do all the exercises with quite a lot of confidence. And then our first center line felt quite good. He was sort of drawing towards the judge, no problem, and the first halt I felt was really square. Coming towards the judge, he was also really fine, good through the corner, good on my outside rein. And then I went to go, and there wasn't really much go. And I think 3 years ago, while he was also here as a 6-year-old, and we had a small incident where the person closing the gate actually dropped the bar. And I had a feeling at that moment that he was looking to see if that person was there. He was using his extremely good memory, which was not ideal at that moment. But he was really sucking back and not so confident. And I didn't feel the need then to really put the pressure on him and force him to go, where that may have got me less of an interruption. But then for me, I would have felt that he, at this moment when he stops here, you can see in the first diagonal, that he then would have lost more confidence if he felt that I was going to force him into that corner every time. I think that would have been an issue more and more through the test. And I actually felt that he got more and more relaxed as he went through the test. So for my feeling, that was a better experience for him, and he felt more in control of himself the further he went along, rather than I have to put really pressure on to make him go to that first corner where he was a little bit nervous. And then throughout the test, he feels more and more forced throughout the exercises.
Oh, what a nightmare.
No.
So I remember this competition specifically. This is this young man here. This is young Wally Surveyback, Jules Surveyback. Wally is the first son of Wiregold, from the famous mare from Isabel Werth. So he has a mother that's a world champion, European champion, Olympic champion. So you can imagine, if you're thinking about that while riding this horse, you've already put 10,000 tons of pressure on yourself. And I remember this specifically because he had placed second the year before, or a couple of years before, at a young horse class, at a 6-year-old. So it's probably 2 years before, at a 2 years before, at a 6-year-old class. Excuse me. And the last round, I had to go up the center line and turn to the right, and I had to make the same extended trot line, and the girls were standing at the gate, and where they would normally put the gate across after your halt, they were still holding it in the air. So this big white thing pointing up in the air as I turned for my extension. And he only hesitated a little bit at the beginning, and I didn't take much notice of it. And then when he got going forward at X, I also gave him another little signal to go a little bit more. And when he got to the corner, he was really suspicious. So we went through the corner, we went on, and he did really well. And then later on, I looked back at the video, and I could see that the girls, that the gate stewards, were holding this big white thing up as I was going around the corner. And I didn't really see it, but Wally saw it. And then in this competition, in the Prison George, he came around the corner, and of course you see there's actually nothing there. He's having this preconceived idea. He's waiting, looking, I think, to see if that scary thing was going to be there again. And so what happens in that moment, of course, is he's leaning back. He was leaning back from the beginning of the diagonal. Now, if I had have put more pressure on at that moment, you know, he's leaning back, he's looking to see if there's something there. He becomes suspicious. He's walking down the dark alley and he can't see a certain spot, and he's waiting to see if something's going to jump out at him. And so at that moment, of course, it's the same for yourself. If you're a little bit insecure and you want to take your time and just look at the line and see where you're going, and someone gets behind you and starts to push you there, rush you, then of course you start pushing back more. Then the panic hits. So it was really important at that stage, even though I've gone up the center line, I was fairly happy with my hold. He was straight up, turning right. From the first movement, actually, you know, messing up an extended trot at an international at the Prison George, you've pretty much thrown it away there. So at that moment when he starts to lean back, of course, I could have just pressed him forward, pushed him all the way to the diagonal. Maybe I would have been able to get him there with pressure, hold the rein and kick him in front and go all the way to the ladder. But of course, what would happen then is at that moment, he's unsure about going to that space. And then I make it more difficult by giving more pressure. And so what would happen then is I also have to go on that line on the diagonal in canter. I also have to come through that corner to prepare for the second shoulder in. I have to also go from that corner, from the other end in extended walk to that corner. So all these things throughout the test could have been even more of a disaster. But the simple fact that I gave him time to see the line, he realized there was nothing there. He went on. Through the corner, I gave him the reward, so the release for going there. He starts to feel, oh, at that moment I controlled myself. And when I went to when my posture said go there, then I was rewarded. From that moment on, he was reassuring himself that, oh, if I give the feeling in my body like I want to push and go there, I get a better feeling than if I tell myself I want to lean back. So through the process of me not pushing, he's making the decision. He sees the line, so he's given himself time to make the line. I've blown the test because even if I pushed him there, I would have made more mistakes and he had more tension throughout the test. But because of that moment, the very next day when he went in for the Inter 1, he was totally confident and then had no mistakes. So it was really important then at that moment, exactly like the third example says, to not think of the short-term goal. Of course, I was throwing away the test by not riding him through. And even one of the judges had come to me afterwards and said, why didn't you just push him forward there? You didn't have to ruin that one line, which made you drop quite a lot. But of course, it's again that thinking of, yes, it was a shame it's one diagonal, but at the same time, it's for every diagonal after that he's more confident and I have a more chance of success. So, and the most important thing in every test, of course, to be able to progress and get better, to your horse to feel more comfortable in the ring, to be a better performer, to not have performance anxiety, for him to have more confidence on stage, to give you more of himself, to feel more comfortable, and for things to become more easy and more effortless. The most important thing is that your horse has a good experience every time. And so when your horse is having that good experience, and he starts to believe in himself more in that environment, in the ring, in the place where he has to perform, it's then you can start to ask a little bit more of him, and he's comfortable in that ring. And it's not that you're putting pressure to ask more, you're only asking the question for more, and he offers you the thing that you want the most because you've given him the time and because he feels it within himself that he can then give the best of himself in that performance. So that was always what I was thinking whenever a horse is going into the ring. I always try to think from the horse's perspective, what's going to let him feel that he's in control of the situation. And then actually the only way he can control the situation is if he can control himself. So if I'm controlling him, if I'm putting pressure on, I take the responsibility from him. And then I always need to control him. And then he will always feel like he's being controlled. And so then there will always be moments of errors creeping in, that he gets insecure, that he gets spooky, that he gets And so you're never really developing, you're only sort of harnessing or managing the situation, and you're stopping a little bit the natural growth for things to get better and better.
I have a question here from Judith. She says, what would you have done if your horse just would have turned around and went into the other direction?
I probably would have waved at the judges, because it would have been really embarrassing. And at that moment, it's always good to make the judges laugh. And then they're more sympathetic on you when you turn around and you start to do the next movement. But physically, the physical action you take at that moment is I go again into controlling the feet. So if he turns around, the worst thing I can do is grab onto two reins and try to control the front. So at that moment, I immediately let go of my outside rein. I get the bending. I focus on the one leg, which redirects him in the right direction. When he's in the right direction, I give the release. So I'm again helping him to find the control, and then I'm rewarding him when he faces in the right direction again. So again, I'm avoiding the moment where he's saying, I'm turning and exiting stage right, and I'm holding him there. So my horse has got stage fright, and then he goes to run off stage and someone grabs a lasso and holds him. I don't restrain him and try to keep him in that place. I redirect him. So I'm not holding him, I'm not pushing him. I'm taking his hand and I'm leading him, redirecting him in the position I want to go. When he starts to go there, I let him go, and then I let him make the decision to feel like he's in control of himself again in that moment. If it's a position where he still doesn't want to go towards that corner, I go to controlling the front legs. I've, of course, already trained this with difficult situations in my own arena, so the horses have the tools. And if you've prepared by using the tools, by the third module in the online training, it teaches you really how to get the horses to be able to approach things in a positive way with a positive posture. So even if you get to a sticky situation, you have the tools to be able to help the horse through it. Plus, your horse knows where the release point is, where the answer is. So he very quickly goes into trying to find that instead of trying to find the escape.
Claire has a similar question, and you also mentioned it with the module 1. She says, so following this excellent logic, how do you deal with a horse wanting to peel off the rail for fear of the sponsor banners or the outside?
So when we are starting the patterns, this is really the setup for being able to progress through all the modules. Here you're seeing the first pattern. We start with step 1, which is another step before that. And then this is the first pattern that we're able to take with us for many reasons, but a few of the reasons you've seen now. And then one of the extra reasons is to be able to go to the next stage, which is the horse being able to move on a bigger circle with this control of his physical state and managing himself. And when you're able to let the horse start to work in this final pattern in the groundwork, where he's able to go walk, trot and canter and navigate his way through thinking about his body and the same communication of controlling all the feet on a bigger circle, just like you've done now close by on a small circle, that enables us then to navigate our way between something, past something, over something, under something. So this is what we do in the last module of the groundwork before the riding, that we teach the horses how to be able to navigate and take themselves through a difficult situation. So they learn in their body how to approach something with the right posture. They learn the concept of challenging the difficulty. They learn the concept of finding the point of rest, even when it seems like the worst place to be. And so they're learning a concept of how to manage themselves in all the things that they will experience in the environment we take them into. It's not that we're riding or practicing things that they get used to the sponsor signs or used to the pot plan or used to the judge's box, but we're teaching them really a concept of how to manage themselves when they are in the presence of something that has a pressure of approach, whether they're standing still, them approaching it, or the sponsor sign is still and they have to approach the sponsor sign. We're teaching them how to manage themselves in the presence of things that move, things that touch them, and things that make a sound. and then also the combination of these things. And when they learn the concept of how to manage themselves with these four main things, movement, touch, sound, and approach, it's these skills that they can then take with them to be able to apply that into all the situations you'll come across when you go to a competition. So it's very much about the preparation of self-management, and that then when they have an understanding and a concept and a structure, a foundation of self-management, then when you go into a situation where something is difficult, you're not going up against the natural instinct which tells them, oh, get away, it's dangerous. You're not going up against that natural instinct anymore. You're just then there to remind them of the management system they already know. So maybe they think, oh, that just seems a little bit more pressure, or a little bit different, or a little bit something I haven't yet learned, but the reminder of what I have to do in this situation comes to me from my rider. Oh, and now I can overcome the problem because I have a little bit the solution. So this is the concept behind those things. So a lot of the questions that come up in your mind will be the symptoms of something, or things that we have experienced. What if it's really windy and the flags go? What if your horse is afraid of prams? What if your horse is afraid of dogs? What if your horse is fine in the warming up, but he's not good in the arena? You know, all these things are a symptom of the horse not having the skills to have good self-management. So when your horse doesn't know how to manage himself, he gets to a situation where he doesn't know what to do with himself. And then he, of course, is only left to rely on his natural instinct of flight to deal with the situation. He's left with the only thing he knows, which he's born with, which was what Mother Nature tells him. And of course, if he's left only knowing with what he knows, we can't blame him for reacting with the only tool that he has. But of course, when we give him the new tool, the bonus is the new tool, the horses adopt really quickly because it's knowledge. And it's something they can do that doesn't involve fear. The only reason they use the flight instinct is because they don't know what to do, and the flight is the last resort. But if they have something that is convincing in that they feel that they're empowered by it, that they can have the answers to know and how to manage themselves in all situations, they will, of course, choose to do that rather than use the flight instinct.
I think that's really interesting what you're saying. And it's also remarkable that I also saw it with my own horse. I was doing the TT method as good as I can as an amateur. But my horse was in the field and there was a truck passing by and he got scared and then he stopped and he dropped his head and he got into this relaxed posture. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm seeing. He's actually doing it himself. And I think
he's watched the videos.
Yeah, he's watched the videos.
Through the window.
Yeah. And then you're thinking it really works. And that's yeah, that's really amazing.
And that's what makes it a little bit different to a lot of other theories or thinking in training horses, horsemanship, or whatever the branding name might be, is that it's very much about teaching the horses self-management so that they are in control of their own physical and mental soundness for also all the hours that they're not with you. So if the horse is only secure in knowing what to do when he's with you because you tell him what to do, then he's operating on his natural flight, with his natural flight instinct in the hours he's not with you. He's now left to be a horse. And if a bird flies up, he runs. If he hears the tractor, he runs. And then he's using that operating system when he's not with you. But then when he's with you, he has to listen to what you're saying and he has to forget about his natural instinct. So it's very much about the management of himself for all the hours he's not with you. And so that it's not about learning a horsemanship technique where you know what to do to be able to control your horse. It's very much about a way of learning how you can teach your horse to be able to control himself, so that then it's not our job to be in control of him. He feels like he's in control of himself, and we can enjoy riding a horse that feels in control of himself.
Okay, thank you very much, Tristan. I think it's, I've been reading through the questions coming up and we'll go through them in a bit. I do think it's important that people take also the message that it's not about, when I talk about competitions, going to a show over and over and just hope that it gets better. And also that it works for every horse, that every horse can change. And I also saw a question from someone who wanted to take lessons from you. I don't think you're taking in new clients right now. And also because I remember when I met you, you said you had a waiting list of around 80 people. And I was like, wow. And that's why we made the online training. That was 3 years ago, we made it. And we now have, like you said in the beginning, members from 55 countries. We might even have more because for a while we didn't track the country that people were coming from. So at least 55 countries, with the latest edition is Qatar. So we're both really proud of that. And as you probably know, the online training consists of 3 modules, and we have a lot of bonus material. It's a lot of content, a lot of videos of really step-by-step how to do the pattern yourself and how to teach your own horse. And the entire program is €299, and it has been highly requested to have a payment plan. So that's what we offer now for everybody attending the webinar. I have it right here. So you can, if you would like to teach this to your horse, get the full program, and you can pay in 12 terms. We've all had December with the presents and all that. We all know how expensive it is. So you can spread the investment for the online program. And also after those 12 months, you just keep unlimited access. So you can continue watching the videos, replay and revisit the content as often as you would like. You can do the Q&As also after that year. If you have questions, you can send in videos, and every month we have a Q&A, basically just like this. So if you want to make use of that, I have the link right here. And you can probably now see it in your screen. So if you want to get access, you can get access over there. And yeah, it's really amazing to see all the footage from also members doing the pattern and having great results. And yeah, that was
really what was really surprising to me, Connie, is from the beginning, of course, for years and years, you give a lot of clinics and demonstrations, and you have private people coming for lessons, and also people based at your place giving lessons. And you're sort of there supporting all the time, and you're trying to be the best instructor you can be, and you're really giving step by step and shaping the student, not letting them make mistakes, and really trying to develop them in the fastest way possible. And what was, of course, really surprising to me in the beginning with the online training was that actually a lot of the people that had just done the first 2 modules were sometimes doing it much, much better than a student that had been with me for a month in training. But I don't know if I'm a bad trainer, but I think it's also something to do with that we then take full responsibility, and we go and we are then away from the horse, and we give ourselves time to really watch and process and absorb things in a way that we need to learn them. And then the really empowering thing is then to be able to go and practice it with your horse, and then feel, okay, I'm missing something here, but then be able to go back and refer back and say, oh, these are the bits that I'm missing. And of course, when you have a lesson, you have to do, and of course, it's also helpful, but if the one-on-one thing of listening and doing, you know, and I always encourage people to video their lessons, because then also you look back and you realize, actually, I only heard half of what Tristan was saying. And if you sort of, you're taught 10 things in the lesson, You know, when you leave, maybe if you're a genius, you remembered 8. By the next week, sort of 5, and then if you don't have it something to refer back to, the information goes really quick. So I must say the members that we have online now have really progressed really fast, and those that use the bonus videos of the Piaf and learning to get on and trailer loading and all the bonus videos we have for all the things that people want to know, and the people that really put in requests for bonus videos for things they really need, they want help on, has been really helpful also for us to be able to contribute and give more helpful information. And then, of course, that really fun thing of having that personal contact with the members, that they send videos in, and our Q&A we do once a month, that we actually look at people's progress and say, wow, you're doing this really good, but if you did this and this, then everything could get a lot better. So that's, of course, really rewarding for us. And what you said about people wanting to come in training, of course, there's only so many hours in the day, and we want to try to help as many people as possible. And so the online training has given us value and ability to do that. We, of course, have training weeks here also at our place, and also Connie is also running at her place some training days which will allow people to come with their own horses and get one-on-one help. But one of our requirements is that you already, for the benefit of the people coming to the training days, that you are familiar with the online training. So it's not that you arrive and on your first day you are hearing the language for the first time and you're familiarizing yourself, and you actually only get a short introduction in which you can already give yourself in the online training. So when you come with your horse, you're already prepared, you're already set up, you have the mindset to be able to absorb as much information as possible, and you can really make connection to all the things we're talking about and be able to benefit as much as possible. So I just wanted to come back, Connie, to your first point about what you said was really important for people to, the message to get out of it. You probably can't remember now.
yes, I can. Actually, I think, yeah, I can. I saw some comments in the chat, and there were some people having certain problems, and sometimes, or actually often, I've been making this mistake myself as well, is that you think if I just continue doing something, just continue, I'll go to more shows. Oh, he was 10th, but I'll go to more shows and more shows, and then sort of hoping that it will get better, but it can actually get worse.
Yeah, and that's a really important point, because of course, and I also was told the same thing, you know, when you have a horse that's difficult on going out in the trail, you have a horse that's difficult on the outdoor arena, but he's good on the indoor arena, you have a horse that's difficult on indoor shows, or you have a horse that's difficult on outdoor shows, or a horse that has a difficulty somewhere, the fact that you think, okay, you just need to take him out more, he just needs to see more things. For me, it's very much, I learn more and more that everything you do with the horse is like an exam. So if you're to sit an exam and you get 80% of the questions wrong, and then you think, okay, I have no answers for these situations, and my horse is doing a lot of things wrong, so I'm getting 80% of the questions wrong in the exam. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to get any more information or prepare myself anymore or study anymore. I'm just going to keep going and sitting down in the exam, and I'm going to expect that I get more answers correct. But of course that doesn't happen, because what ends up happening is you keep going and you keep getting the answers wrong, and you keep sitting down and thinking, okay, I'm not getting any more right. Why am I not getting any more right? Because getting used to something is not giving you the information. Getting used to the situation, the sitting down, the taking the exam, is not giving you more information of how to be successful in the exam. And what happens also in the horse's mind, in the horse's process of learning, is he's going to that exam with the knowledge that he knows, and if he doesn't have the information, he relies on his natural instinct of flight. So that's the, I can't answer this question, I'm just going to leave it, or I can't deal with this exam, I'm just going to walk out. And at some point again, he gets a release. He gets on the trailer, he gets home, he thinks, oh, I didn't die from that experience again. And those answers that I'm going to use again the next time I get in that situation, because I've gotten out of the situation and I've survived and I've been able to protect myself with the knowledge that I have. So in actual fact, what happens is you go into the exam with the same knowledge and you fail in the same way, and you don't feel success and you don't progress. So it's very much about preparing yourself and preparing your horse to be able to manage yourself, manage the situation, have the information that you need to be successful, and so that everything gets easier both for you and your horse. So
some questions, and welcome to Teresa. She says, thanks, I just signed up. And also welcome to Annette, Judith, Debbie, Miriam, and it's a bit of a delay in my email here. Joyce asks, can I get the same result with the online program as if I got lessons? Just asking myself if I can get results myself, or that is a little opportunity. I think you did cover that already before.
Yeah, so what I was explaining about that self-help, it's probably the best word to describe it, is that having the videos are set up that it's very step-by-step. And so a lot of the sort of the philosophy behind it and the deep meaning behind the exercises, what it means to the horse in the beginning, is in the first few modules, it doesn't go really deep into this, because in the beginning it's set up that you really just learn the physical steps you need, and really step by step. It explains what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what is the expectation that you need. And so through that, most horses, 90% of horses, I would say, come out of the other side of those modules being able to have the feeling that they have more information about how to manage themselves. What it also does is it enables the owner or the trainer or the rider to be able to really diagnose what is the cause of why my horse is doing these things. So we often talk about the symptoms. You know, every horse comes with a story, and the real truth only really comes from the horse. The program then reveals the real truth from the horse. So we're not continuing to tell ourselves the same story. You know, the story of the previous owner was riding really terrible and he was abused when he was young, or, you know, the story is he's really, really great, and then the day it gets windy, he's a disaster. Whatever the story might be, we tend to tell ourselves these things and tell the story through the symptoms of what's happening. And what the program does is really show us the cause. What is the weakness? Why does he shy when it's windy? Why is he taking off when there's another horse? Why does he spook at the sponsor signs when they're close to the arena? Why does he not want to go through a shadow when I'm riding in the forest? All these possible examples, you know, are the symptoms. And then going through the program really tells you, okay, what does he know? What doesn't he know? And what can I teach him through these steps to be able to manage himself? I would say where the biggest value is often is in our live Q&As, because sometimes you have really a specific horse that you can go through the exercises, and you have to tailor make the exercises that fits your individual horse. So a lot of people get this through doing the exercises by accident. Some people notice it immediately. Some horses adapt immediately without the person knowing, and it just goes fantastic. Some people have a horse that is doing the steps and is highly intelligent, but is not really feeling the steps on the inside of his body. So the horse is not having an effect really inside. He's doing the steps like a really intelligent person. It's like dancing. You know the movements, but you look like a robot, and you're not really feeling and understanding the meaning enough to make physical change. And that's where the live Q&As really come in handy, because, of course, some people get so good at the exercises that it looks effortless, but even on a video, I can see when it's not fitting your horse and when the meaning is not coming in and you're not getting full effect. So having, of course, the wonderful technology of internet and being able to see the videos, and of course, there's always that opportunity then if you are a member and you've been practicing and you are in a position where you feel you need one-on-one help, there's also always an opportunity through the training programs here or through the training days at Connie's place to be able to have a one-on-one session. But you have to funnel yourself through. Yes?
Chris, you do have to give me some dates so I can organize it.
Yes, we're soon to do them for 2019. We're a little bit delayed on that.
But I'm glad you're coming over.
So, but that's the idea. And then, of course, you know, we do have, it was 80 now that I think there's more than 150 people that want to come with their horses. But of course, it's really important that we understand that it's about learning and improving ourselves. And when we're able to do that, then we can also help and improve our horses. So we all have better results.
All right. Well, shall we go into all the questions? Also,
yeah.
Welcome to Selena, Camilla, Vicky, Barrett. And also I have here a question from Julia. She just signed up and she has 3 horses and the youngest one is only a year and a half. She wants to know when she can start the TOT training with that horse.
Yesterday. Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Oh, yeah.
So it's not age relevant. We also have in the bonus videos foal training, foal handling. When I'm at home and I have the opportunity, I like to take the horses when they're 2 days old. So when the horses are old enough to stand, they're old enough to learn. And from that very young age, when they're really finding their balance and learning about their bodies, where to put their feet, how to, you know, get into trot, how to jump around, they're finding their balance, they're throwing themselves, daring themselves to kick up and jump around. It's at that point that I try to really teach them about the posture, where to put their feet to enable them to have good stability and balance. And so the first patterns I'm doing with the horses when they're 2 days old. And the biggest discovery with that was having, you know, a couple of foals at the same age, born at a similar time. You know, maybe some of the foals or the owners wanted to have a little bit training with their foals and the other ones didn't. And then what happened was you went through the exercises and within a couple of days, and maybe I only do it in the beginning for a couple of days, but the foals that had the awareness were all of a sudden coming in the box. You know, they're turning in a way where they put their inside hind leg underneath the body, they reach under, and they're drinking from mum like they are already a supreme being, and they're balanced like a ballerina. They're no longer stumbling in and bumping with the head and searching for the balance. You're really teaching them. They're becoming aware of where their feet are, how their body operates, what is the right pattern of movement that fits their individual body from the beginning. What happens through this period is then the horses start to develop in a different way. They develop in a way where their body is carrying themselves in the best way possible for their conformation, for their build, for the way they're made. And so that's also them developing a pattern in the most optimal way for them to move, which then they adopt. So what happens from there is they're moving in this optimal pattern when they go to have a drink from the water, when they turn and go to eat hay, when they take off their first trot stride. Of course, they're doing it in a way where they feel more balanced. So they start to progress and develop their body in a way that gives them the best possible chance to be able to move and be supple and in balance and be confident as they possibly can. And the other thing is they stop doing dumb shit. They're not clumsy. They don't turn quickly, and they're not running into things, and they're not doing things without thinking. They have more awareness of themselves. They already are more intelligent. So if a 1-year-old is starting, by the time he's 2, you know, you're not lunging him for 3 weeks before you put the saddle on, or once you put the saddle on, out of balance. He's already becoming more balanced. So the first time you ride him, he is a balanced horse. He's in control of his own posture. He's going into a balanced frame in which he can carry himself really well, so that then he has a huge advantage for the first time you get on in feeling confident that he's balanced himself and feeling confident that he can carry you in that posture. So from 2 days old is how early you can start. So that's why I say yesterday for your 1-year-old, because he's already a little bit behind.
Well, better to start at some point and of course never.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have a question from Susan. She says, I hope to compete for the first time with my young mare this summer. Typically, we arrive the day before the competition and the horses are stalled overnight. My horse hates being in a strange stall and becomes very agitated. So in a strange place, we always have a very tense start because she blows out the stall ready to explode. Would you do the patterns in the stall with her until she learns to calm herself that way?
Absolutely. It's what I do at the internationals. I quite often find myself, I find it difficult to say no to a lot of people, and I find myself actually doing this for a lot of people at the shows when their horses are in a tent stable and it's windy and the horses are not relaxing. A lot of people scream out and ask if I can help. And definitely I'm then looking again for the self-management. Of course, it helps if your horse has been prepared before and they know the patterns before, because then they have the toolkit, they have the knowledge of knowing what to do when they go to a new place. But also the horse will feel the effects of doing the pattern, of course, the very first time he's doing them, no matter which place he's in. But the horses that are specifically getting tense in the box, I try to get them to a relaxed state, and then I take them out. And then I do the pattern a little bit outside the box. And then I actually start to work the body through the pattern in a way where they feel like they're having to think and do something and think about themselves and work out where their body is and get a connection with themselves. And then I put them back in the stable and I start to really slow down maybe the pattern a few steps, let them find the rest in the stable and let them find out that the place of rest is in the box. And then if the horse is then starting to get a little bit up again, I then maybe go in, move the front legs, getting this backwards drawing posture. They draw a little bit back, they step through themselves, they bend themselves in a relaxed way, and then they start to come down. And so then again, what happens through that is then you build this pattern. You take them out, you let them work, they come back to the box, they realize this is the place to think, and that they find that the box is then a state of rest. And you are also giving them some navigation of the place in which they are in. Sometimes it's the wondering, it's the what they don't know that gets them anxious or insecure. That they get to a new place, it's unfamiliar, there's new smells, there's new sounds, it looks different, it smells different, it maybe tastes different with the water. And so taking the horse out to a space, working him, walking him, bringing him back to the stable, makes him quickly familiar with the place. They absorb the smells, they feel their body, they make the connection. Okay, this is a new smell, but I feel the same relaxed state as I do at home. So actually, if I feel the same, I think the same, and then you start to have the same behavior in the new places. So it's really important to not think or get there, manage the horse all the way to the box, put it in the box and close it in. It's about the preparation of knowing that you have a good communication with the horse. You're able to communicate to the horse how they can manage their body in a good way. So when you come to these new places, you're able to give them then the security by teaching them beforehand so that you can do with them when you arrive at the show.
Okay, I have a question from Charlene. She also said she's going to sign up after the webinar because she wants to listen to the Q&As. That's awesome, of course. She says, what if the horse turns from a relaxed state to enormous tension in a split second? She knows the patterns, but we have some serious issues to the point that some days we just can't ride her despite a relaxed horse while starting the groundwork before the ride.
So what's important is also this starting point with getting your horse familiar with the release points in their body. So what tends to happen with a horse that knows the patterns, gets into a relaxed state, and then all of a sudden can fire up, is that they become secure within the pattern, meaning that the pattern is doing the work. The horse is not giving themselves the release. So the first video, which we now have on the online training, is about finding these release points, giving the horse really the understanding of the awareness of these release points, or what are tension points in the beginning, and that the horse is able to make a physical release in the parts of his body where he holds tension. And so what happens is the horse is taking responsibility for these tension points in their body, and they're able to put themselves into a relaxed state and start to let the tension out before you start the patterns. And what happens then is sometimes you go through the patterns and you get a little bit of a soft body on the surface, and it seems relaxed and they feel relaxed, but on the inside there are still some muscles that hold half tension. So you're getting the outside of the body that's a little bit loose, but you still have this shape in the muscles, and we want this shape in the muscles. And so if the horse is doing the patterns and they become stable and you think they're relaxed, and then something in the environment happens, in 2 seconds they can go from here whoop, to here. And so what happens with these release points is the awareness is you have a bit of tension here, and then, oh, this relaxes a bit. And you say, you have a bit of tension here, oh, and then you get this relaxed point, until eventually the body lets go of all the tension, and you have really this release of energy, that all the tension points are out. And so the benefit of that is, of course, all the tension is out. But before you start the patterns, the horse is really understanding the concept of what the patterns should be doing. And you ask him to move. It's no longer just about a movement that he thinks about on the outside of his body. It's a movement that makes connection to the inside of his body, which lets him release all the tension from the inside out, not from the outside and just a little bit on the surface. So these bits in preparation before the exercises are really important, and that will get the horse to take responsibility for really putting himself in a relaxed state all the way to the inside, and not just him feeling a bit the benefit from the pattern on the outside.
All right, well, let's go to the last question. Oh, it's over here. Claire says, is the handling of tense muscles you do very crucial to find relaxation, or can the pattern alone be sufficient? You probably already touched on that one.
Yeah,
no?
It's of course dependent on the horse, but it's like anything. If you want maximum results, yeah, it's always beneficial. So, and what it does, what's really important about it is the learning how to find these tension points and bringing awareness to the horse's body. Is he's really learning about himself. So it's more empowering for the hours the horse is away from you, because what it's doing is it's letting him feel where tension creeps into his body, and he becomes aware of it. So his body's not doing things that he's not aware of. And so if you go through the patterns alone, he will get relaxed while he's with you, and you'll have a certain level of relaxation. Some horses you get totally relaxed and you can't wake them up. But what's empowering about this awareness of the release points is that the horses start to adopt that when they're not with you. So when they don't have the guidance of you saying, oh, you're getting a bit tense, we're going to go into this pattern, and he says, oh, thank you, now I'm relaxed. The awareness is if he starts to hear something and then he thinks, oh, hang on, I'm getting a bit tense here in my neck, I can feel it. And then he takes responsibility for relaxing himself, not letting his body get into this tension pattern, not letting stress come into himself. He's able to be aware of that. So you're teaching them that they're not coming into tension, and someone says, oh, yeah, God, I'm a bit tense there. I didn't even know. the horse starts to know it, and he starts to manage that in the hours he's not with you. And so that's really beneficial, of course, for every day you come to work. He's not in a tension gym when he's away from you and you have to work on getting his body soft. He's working on getting his body soft by not letting the tension come in all the hours he's not with you. And so then when you start up every day, you have a horse that's much more healthy, and because he's looking after himself. And through that process, everything progresses much, much quicker.
All right, thank you so much. And also warm welcome to Jenny, Donna, E, Sue, and Suzanne, which I just see coming in. Thank you, Tristan, and thanks everybody for being there and being enthusiastic and asking questions. And hope to see you all in the next webinar. We should do this more often, Tristan.
We will. Thank you very much, guys. Look forward to seeing you at TRT Net.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Bye.